What is up, DTube, Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk about the interesting aspects of the long tail, in crypto earnings. Now, first of all, what am I talking about? So, the thing that fascinated me with crypto was, and this is something that hasn't really been fully explored yet, but it's the ability to create interest. If you really look at most cryptocurrencies, they are inflationary. I mean, even Bitcoin, yes, it has a fixed amount that's going to reach in 2140, but up to that point, it's going to inflate and it creates new Bitcoins to miners. But eventually people are going to create systems that instead give that new coins to stakers instead. So interest is a kind of long tail thing with crypto earnings. And this fascinated me when I came into this space. That, wait a sec, so we can we create value from nothing? That's kind of cool. Like, that is really, really cool, especially if those earnings goes to people that are loyal, dedicated to a particular system, right? So it kind of creates this long tail thing. Let's say a person is making a couple of cents per day. An exponential industry, if something goes well, 10x, 15x. I mean, we've seen higher than that before, but if we look at the low side, we can see that even a couple of cents a day, if it's some kind of yearly interest thing or daily interest thing, we can sort of see that kind of adds up. It creates a long tail of earnings, which nobody really pays attention to. Nobody really pays attention to that just keeps flowing in. Because it seems kind of boring or something like that. And this is very fascinating, of course. And the way I look at this space, when you start to earn, let's say, crypto daily for something that you do, you sort of start to see, wait a sec, isn't this like how everyone's going to do it eventually? And if everyone is doing a particular, or if everyone sort of is trying their best and doing something daily, it sort of seems as if everyone is doing that, you're going to create massive abundance. And it seems as, okay, the geeks have kind of figured this out right now, and then it's just going to take a few more years, and then everyone's going to kind of be on this. Mainly because the law of accelerating returns that you get. Better computing power, better technology, and you get this amazing long tail that nobody pays attention to. For example, let's say a person earns $1 a day in crypto. That basically means that they have $1 of liquid value coming in per day. But that dollar is probably more like at least $10 because it's liquid. It's liquid and you are in an exponential industry. You're not trapped. You're not trapped in an old system that is outdated, that's not made for the fiat system, that's really not made for the digital world. And you don't have the gateway keepers, like hundreds of gateway keepers that sort of tries to get their cut before the person gets their own cut. But you have this system where that $1 probably is more like $20 because it's instantly available. You have so much opportunity with that. And you can basically dollar cost average into whatever it is. And it's basically a better value system that is exponentially better, right? So even that small amount that nobody really would pay attention to if someone is earning that per day, it seems as a system really not is working, right? But that amount has a difference in how a person does thing on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool how you can create stuff from nothing and sort of have this long tail effect that truly nobody is paying attention to, because everyone is looking at the top, right? Everyone is looking at the little thing at the top where people try to get like 100x or something like that. But the people that are basically looking at the long tail, I mean, they sort of see that, well, there's a lot of systems that, I mean, tomorrow probably is going to be here, right? And, you know, people have, people are doing stuff on a day-to-day basis. And it's like, people don't really consider the long tail of earnings. So, and this is something I talked about in the past, that $1,000 in crypto is not like $1,000 in a bank account, because it's exponential, right? It's exponential. So it gets very interesting when you sort of, when the system is so good that eventually people just probably not going to care about the earnings, because they're going to see, well, it works so well now. It works so well. So eventually you're going to have this phase where you already see it in the comment sections that people sort of feel like most comment systems where people sort of upvote and you get some value for that, almost nothing of that is generated in the comment section. Because people sort of see, yeah, you can upvote comments and sort of rank them and stuff like that, but it seems like a waste of time in many ways for many people, because they mainly trade value from other people's work. While commentaries, small comments and stuff like that you see below stuff, it's kind of like at work sort of talking to another person. And it's like, if you are at a physical work and you talk to another person, if they would give you $1 every time you said 5 sentences, like, sure, it would be cool, but it's like, why do this? Why do we have to do this? Like, can't we just like focus on the bigger things? Like, we try to do some work thing daily and then we just reward that. So that's kind of like an interesting aspect that's kind of fun to see. So it becomes like, that becomes like a small little niche, the comment sections. It becomes like a small little niche eventually. And then eventually people are just going to do like, same thing they did with how mainstream TV works right now. Like, if a person is watching a TV at home, they usually don't have like a bunch of comments coming in from people when they're trying to enjoy a piece of content. So people are basically, they just want the access to the value, right? They already know what they want. It's kind of like when a person is walking into a store and they already Google search what kind of phone they want to buy. So they don't really need a help in the store, right? Because they already know. Like, they already know what they want. They have an intelligence, they have a functional brain, they can Google search before they go into a store, and then they just go there and just buy the thing. This is kind of interesting, right? So it's like, before a person comments, it's like, I know. Like, you know, I know. So it's kind of interesting there how, yeah, I don't ever really see takeoff. I don't see it ever take off, to be honest. And it's really fine, to be honest, because eventually what we're gonna have is, I don't think we have this right now. We're gonna have an amazing store of value that create scarcity plus interest. So it's kind of gonna be like an updated version of Bitcoin, but it's just that it's gonna pay the interest to the stakers. And this is something that at the moment is not available, for example, on Bitcoin. And that's going to create the system where people that want value will just be able to stake in something, right? If they want some value, they can basically just stake in a system or do some little task, right? So there is not going to be this, in many aspects, it's not going to be this need that everyone is sort of being a creator or something, right? It's just going to be that people do whatever it is they want to do, and that's kind of cool. So we see, for example, right now we see this big trend of sort of genuine content creators, content creators, for example, on YouTube, a lot of these content creators, they wouldn't have the same sort of success on YouTube, because YouTube favors another kind of content creator that tries to appeal to the mainstream masses, where you basically need volume, you need a lot of attention. And this is something that a lot of people have talked about. Oh, the attention economy, we need to get all this attention from people. But in the new blockchain systems, you don't really need attention from that many sources, right? Because a lot of systems are going to be automated. So it's just going to be systems where people that want to consume something, they're going to find whatever it is they desire, right? And if they sort of want to manipulate their environment and get more of a particular piece of content, they can just invest in some tokens and sort of start to allocate those resources to whatever content that is being created, and they can sort of create incentives to create customized experiences. And this is kind of cool. So the long tail is going to be something that is going to be very, very interesting to follow. So what I think in many ways when people make super much is, of course, they have a different kind of focus. For many of them, I think that they may ignore the long tail because it seems like a waste of time. They're basically more trying to look at how they can 10x or 100x something. But for many other people, for most people, the long tail is the earning interest or earning something daily from doing a particular piece of task. That is going to be sort of what excites them. And it's not as fancy to talk about. Because people in many ways, they want like a big story, some superhero story, that something is going to take over everything and everything else is going to go to zero. But there are many aspects of this that may say that, yeah, we're going to have a lot of long tails. We see this with the internet, a lot of websites, a lot of stuff that has been around since like 2003, forums, people still going to them, right? People still going to a lot of places. People thought they would die out, but a lot of things, a lot of systems doesn't die out. It doesn't die out because it's like you're gonna have this thing happening where it's gonna be so cheap to keep run particular or different systems, so they can like go on forever, because it doesn't cost as much to run them as maybe it would do in the past. And that is also one of the reasons why the long tail is going to grow, because it's so cheap to do stuff compared to in the past. It's so cheap to sort of create something new. So you can have so much experimentation that you would never have in the past. So in the past, a few years ago, or no, maybe 10 years ago, it would be impossible for me to make a over 15 minutes video, because slow technology, slow systems, it was way more expensive. Like, you could not even upload over a 15-minute video on many services, and it was even there was a time when it was like, I think, 3-minute videos only. But now it's like, it's so cheap to produce stuff, it's so cheap to create long tail effects with crypto, where you're just creating things from nothing. So it's like, why not keep running this? And you run these systems because you want to run experiments. You want to see what is being created, because it kind of is interesting to see if something new can be created. It's kind of interesting to allocate resources to various things to see what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, the long tail is fascinating, because this is like a very interesting thing. If a person earns, let's say, $1 in crypto every day, like they have so much value. Like, it's like, because of the exponential thing. So for example, a fiat user that is just playing in that system, It doesn't even go any in crypto because seems like such a waste of time, because they have to deal with large volumes if they want to trade, or if they want to move value from the old system to the new system. That's going to be kind of expensive. They have to log into their bank. They have to pay a large fee. There is a lot of hidden stuff that they're basically paying for, which they don't really know. Plus, they don't really have the upside. They don't really have the upside that something can go to the moon, because the old systems are not designed to go to the moon. They're not designed to go anywhere. So the upside, like it's like a massive opportunity cost to play. Eventually, like right now, yeah, it sort of makes sense to be in both systems, but eventually it's going to be a massive opportunity cost to not adopt new technology, to not sort of pay attention to technology, and it's going to cost more to basically be in something outdated. But people sort of get passionate about whatever it is they grow up with. So even fiat has a long tail. It has the fiat long tail, where, you know, people say a lot that like he's gonna die super fast, but they also do not consider the long tail fiat. Like that there's a lot of people that are earning fiat daily, and they sort of depend on this, and they're gonna support it with their time, energy, resources. They're gonna invest in a particular system. So you can have a lot of long tail systems that keeps on going. It's like we think that so many things are just gonna fade away super fast, but it doesn't really happen. I mean, there's so much stuff, so many systems in the universe, which you think, nah, this is gonna fade away, right? No. No, they're gonna drag on. Like, and this is both good and bad, of course. But in crypto, it's like, yeah, we have all these old fiat systems that have long tail, but now we also have a long tail. Like, you know, you can earn crypto daily with the Steam blockchain, with all of these new communities. And there's so many, you get this sort of effect where you have so many people that want to be the doomsday person, right? So there's always like this, that, you know, you see this in crypto, like doomsday, that everything's just gonna go away. But it's almost like, I don't know, I think people are passionate about what they did, and they don't like that something else comes along. But yeah, the world is sort of changing in terms of technology. It's quite exponential, and humans are not really used to it so much. But a person that's using technology daily, they can sort of see the benefits. They can sort of see how it's going to take over, right? So yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. The long term is the long tail is fascinating. The long tail is fascinating. So I have that experience from YouTube. So what I noticed with YouTube is the first couple of years, you had to do a lot of work to create some value system with like passive value flowing. Then you sort of see that, wait a sec, this system runs itself. This system runs itself. It can do everything. It can keep making value even without any physical thing happening. And that's the same thing that we eventually, in a couple of years, we're going to get the same effect in crypto, where people are going to realize, wait a sec, this system can kind of run itself, right? It can create stuff. It can send out value to sources. It can do all, right? And that's kind of confusing for humans. It's going to be kind of confusing for humans because it's not going to make any sense to a lot of people. But then they're going to enjoy the benefit. And they're going to realize, I don't need to understand exactly how it works. But it works, right? It works. Value has to keep flowing, right? It has to keep flowing to various places. And that's it, right? Someone has to show up to work every day. Either it's a human, or it's a robot, or it's some algo. But something has to. because that's sort of how it always has been, right? So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. Hopefully enjoyed. Have a great day, DTube and the Steam blockchain. The long tail is awesome, to be honest. Yeah, bye-bye.